This clip is brought to you by VegasWinners.com. Get expert sports betting advice from some of the best handicappers in the world. Head on over to VegasWinners.com and win yourself some money.
He says he's in the rent-a-cars, left the Cincinnati airport, is headed to Brian Pillman's, and he wants to talk to you, Vinnie Mac.
Did you have him on the phone?
Am I on the air?
Yes, you are.
Steve Austin?
Yeah.
Are you actually in the car on the way to Mr. Pillman's house?
Damn right. I said I was going to be last week, and anything I say comes true, Vince.
Yeah.
You know that. I'm the biggest star in the world, so who's going to stop me?
What are your intentions? I don't understand. Why are you going to Brian Pillman's house?
Hey, he's the one that brought this whole mess on. He took my interview time, tried to turn it into a shrine to worship Rep the Hitman Hart, and inspired a new verse out of the book of Austin, Austin 25:17. I will strike down upon your ass with great vengeance and furious anger, and that's what's going to happen.
Mr. Austin, I must warn you, there is a welcoming committee there. Brian Pillman has his friends around that house. It is not wise for you to go there.
And I got a six-pack of whoop-ass riding shotgun with me, son. Remember, don't intimidate me in the least bit. If I got something to do, then it's going to get done.
Stone Cold, listen
What?
to the king. Listen, that idiot Pillman threatened last week, said he's going to have a gun there.
All right, knock it off.
Well, he
You
said
ain't
that.
got the guts. I'll do whatever it takes to get my hands on Pillman. You'll find out.
Mr. Austin, we're not talking about something in the wrestling world. We're talking about trespass if you make good on your promise.
Well, listen, Vince, if something happens to me, I'm sure you'll make amends for it because I'm a big star. I'm in the big match in Survivor Series. You can't do without me. I can do whatever I want, and I've got the mindset, and I'm ticked off enough, and I don't really give a rat's ass. I will do what I say, regardless of the consequences.
Steve Austin apparently on his way to Brian Pillman's home. And imagine Brian Pillman is sitting, ladies and gentlemen, with his wife Melanie at home in Cincinnati watching this. Melanie,
Hey, wait a minute, man.
So how about that? We get a little tease of what's to come.
Yeah.
We're only 7 minutes into the show. This is really the coming out party for this Stone Cold character, all of this angle.
Yeah, and we completely ignored Barry Windham and Goldust as did the broadcast. So it was a big deal. It was the main, it was the thing. And I like the way you framed that, Conrad. Austin's coming out party. Now those Lawler, Lawler's going to gravitate toward Marlena for some unknown reason.
It's weird.
I can think of a couple of reasons, but nonetheless, Lawler's such a good heel. This is in the era where he was a heel.
Yes.
And when he and I got together, the comfort level I think the audience had, we just became the voices of their childhood type thing. I hear that a lot. And so consequently, he and I then were, look at this. First time I saw a man kiss another man in a wrestling ring was Adrian Streak back in the day.
And what we're the visual right now of Sid and Marlena playing karate fighters. And by the way, from an advertising standpoint, let's just say, look at the value that they got for this. Milton Bradley. I mean, here we are 25 years later, and this is still inside the show. If this would have been inside of a regular commercial break instead of a stop set, well, we would never see it. Oh, and we're back, and there's a brawl outside of Pillman's house. Let's listen.
You're not Stone Cold Steve Austin. We had heard that Austin had arrived on the scene as we left for break. Stone Cold Steve Austin's out there with Brian Pillman's friends, and Pillman's friends are trying to keep Austin away. Look at this. The shots are live. Steve Austin.
See, these are all done in one take, Conrad.
Look at this. Oh. No. Don't you ever mess with me, son. Oh. Steve Austin on the outside of Brian Pillman's home. Oh.
This might be a little long. Just saying.
Yeah, and especially with the piped in audio. The piped in audio is a little weird.
Brian Pillman on the inside of his house with his wife, Melanie, are watching these pictures as we are live. Austin is outside of Brian Pillman's home.
I know you're out there, Brian.
So we see Steve Austin stomping around from the driveway around to the front door.
He stunt. Austin trying to get into the house of Brian Pillman.
And lo and behold, the door's locked.
Which is probably a good idea if you're told that someone's coming to beat you up.
I think so.
He's disappeared around the corner. And we're back in.
So I should mention the folks that Steve Austin was beating up there. There are a couple of Les Thatcher students.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that didn't feel overproduced. You know, it wasn't lit very well. It didn't have big production value. It didn't look like a movie. Right. It looked more like an episode of Cops, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And my only suggestion would be it could have probably been done a little bit shorter. Maybe it was drawn out a little bit too long, but that was a small critique, if any. But yeah, it looked more real. Like I said, I didn't have any issues with this angle until we started getting gunplay involved. There's crazy old Bob Backlund.
And how crazy is this too, by the way? You know, here we are having a segment where there's a gun, and when we come back from commercial, it's the karate fighters. And then we go to that violent scene outside of Pillman's house where he's beating up Les Thatcher students and trying to basically break into their house.
Stone Cold Steve Austin outside. He's been making his way around all the way to the back of the house, screaming and yelling. Pillman's got this pistol out, and I don't know what the hell is going on here. This is ridiculous. Pillman's got this. Oh, what the hell is that?
Somebody call the police.
It's Austin.
Get out of there, Steve. Don't go in there. Don't go in there.
This is where they lost me.
So the feed was cut, and we come back from commercial.
Exactly. We have no idea what's going on in Brian Pillman's house. We have no idea. This is all we have.
This is what we've had for the last 3 minutes.
And Jim Ross in the ring has no idea what's going on.
No I thought he was saying Jim Ross has no idea what he's doing.
And as soon as we have any word whatsoever, we will interrupt this and take you back to Cincinnati.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the man that will challenge Shawn Michaels for the World Wrestling Federation Championship at the Survivor Series, Psycho Sid.
And I dare say that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe this is real, but we not only got a handicapper, but we got the best ever. How are you so good at handicapping these games? I mean, 4-0, that's quite a streak already.
You know, let's talk about every pick I've given this year in the NFL as an example. 23-8. Every pick I've given this year. 4 weeks in the bag, 23-8. There's nobody in the country that can match what I do, but I always make sure, because anybody, Conrad, could make up anything. They could tell you and blow smoke and tell you, oh, I'm the greatest. But I am independently monitored and documented, so nobody could ever question what I say and go, I don't believe it. I send every pick to an independent monitoring and documentation service that has to get the pick before the game goes off and then publishes it after the game goes off so anybody can see what I gave. But this is the best start I've ever had. I've never been this good to start a season. You don't win every week, 4 weeks in a row, everything you put out. It's been the kind of year I've had. So get on a hot streak, because when a guy's on a hot streak like me, you want to ride it. I've always had a talent for picking winners. Never quite as hot as I am right now, but I've always been very good at it. And I think it's because I do more homework than anybody else. You know, the average guy or gal watching this podcast, they don't have time. They have a career. They have jobs. They might read the newspaper or go online and see something, but they don't have time 80 hours a week to study the games. That's what I do. And I have a crew of guys behind me, my consultants, who every week we get together 3 times a week and they throw their ideas at me. I throw my ideas at them. And then I pick the final 5 plays on Saturday and Sunday in college and pro football. So, I mean, I've got a great team behind me too, but we're all doing together hundreds of hours of homework. So you don't have to. It's all at vegaswinners.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to vegaswinners.com right now. Let's win some money. Oh man, how about this? Freddie Blassie here.
Full Metal, the album. The entrance themes of your favorite WWF superstars.
This tune makes me want to mod.
Full Metal, the album.
I bet you had that in your CD player and you played it all the time, didn't you, Jim?
Every day.
We're still attempting to establish satellite service live from Brian Pillman's home. This is the last thing we saw before we lost satellite service. Well, not this wasn't the last thing, but this was what happened earlier. But Pillman inside his home watching this as we watched Austin arrive on the scene and attack Brian Pillman's friends. And absolutely destroying whatever, not only his friends, whatever was outside. Austin then, after destroying.
I guarantee you one thing, Conrad, those two boys in Wes Thatcher's group probably made more money that night than they'd ever made in their career on a payoff.
They probably got their ass whipped a little better too. You see Steve Austin, the replay here, busting out the glass on the side of Pillman's house. And it's a full replay.
Absolutely has gone completely awry. And that's unfortunately still what we have. I know the authorities have been contacted. This contest is scheduled.
All weekend in the following weekend on Superstars, you would over and over say that footage would never appear on WWF television again. The next night on Raw, so a week after this, it was barely alluded to. The gun itself was digitized out in the replay showings on USA, but not in syndication. Of course, the swearing was bleeped. And yeah, it feels like this is something that we're trying to push the envelope, trying to see how far we can get it. And maybe we got a little too close to the flame here.
Yeah, now I'm indicting Vince here, my commentary.
Let's take a listen.
That was kind of fun.
I was against it.
Here's what we,
Making his way around
again.
all the way to the back of the house, screaming and yelling. Pillman's got this pistol
See, this
out,
is
and I don't
stupid.
know what the hell is going on
What do you mean?
here.
Like the man with a gun. That's
Pillman's got
stupid.
this- what the hell is that?
This is stupid. That's wrong.
Wait a minute. We have I think we reestablished our feed. Stay with us. This happened earlier tonight. We're going to take you back live. We're going to take, that's what happened. We lost. We are live. This is live.
Power's been restored, Vince. Guys, everybody is here inside the house.
Kevin Kelly, there's
I tell you,
chaos
that
there.
I do not know where Stone Cold Steve Austin is right now.
Did anybody fire a shot? Is anyone hurt?
It's a crazy scene here inside the home.
Did anybody get shot?
Restrained by his friends.
And Brian Pillman being restrained by his friends.
Nobody's been shot.
What?
Nobody's been struck by any of the explosions.
Do you know where Austin is?
Vince, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me? Do you know?
I know where Steve Austin is.
What was more damage?
He saw the gun.
Was more
He saw
damage?
the gun and he left. Oh my God, he's back.
Let him go! This son of a bitch got this coming! Let him go! I'm gonna kill that son of a bitch! Let him go!
Not cool.
Call the police! Call the police! Call the police!
All right.
Get him out of here!
Grab him, Kevin. Grab the gun.
Let him go!
Oh my God!
Grab the gun.
Shut up!
Somebody get the gun.
So what do you think?
You know, for what it was, they pulled it off. It was well written and well produced. It's just the topic of the gun. The gun came back to bite everybody in the ass because that's what the sensitive matter became. That show was what, an hour?
Yep.
Yeah, an hour show. So it's hard to remember those days.
Makes you, I mean, it leaves you wanting more though. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, it did. It did. And it was an interesting seed to be planted for an episodic television show. No doubt about it. And I think the key thing too is that we're trying to sell Survivor Series pay-per-views. I'm not sure how that pay-per-view did, but nonetheless, it was well promoted. I thought within the body of this show, because we're promoting Austin and Brett using the Calgary connection with Brian Pillman as the conduit. And then, of course, we had that little interview segment there with Sid and Sean that led into their tag the next week. So, and that led into Survivor Series. So all that stuff was planned. It had some, you asked that question a few minutes ago about the symmetry and the thread. You know, this show that we just saw had the thread of the Survivor Series running from start to finish.
Yeah. You're selling Survivor Series here in a big way. And what a memorable moment it was. It's hard to believe this was 25 years ago today that Pillman had a gun. In hindsight, if you had it to do over again, do you think you would do it the same way? I mean, just because it didn't lead to a boom in business doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't worth a try, but you knew the inside. Were there any long lasting repercussions with advertisers, sponsors, USA, anything like that?
I think everybody did enough damage control, so that was kind of controlled. It was seemed to me like. So I don't remember anything going past it. We just had to kind of start distancing ourselves from it, and so that's what we all did. I don't know that it cost us any advertisers, and I don't even remember how the ratings were the next week on Raw.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at savewithconrad.com.